All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about digital asset management, or DAM for short. This is a system that's designed to finally bring some order to the chaos of your company's content operations.
Let me paint a picture for you, and I want you to tell me if this sounds just a little too familiar. Your marketing manager needs an image, a really important one, from last quarter's big campaign. So what happens? She searches 3 different shared drives, sends an email to the designer, waits a couple of days, and the result? She ends up having the asset recreated, which costs money, only to find the original like 5 minutes later in some random folder called Old Stuff. Sound familiar? Yeah. And look, this isn't just annoying. It's a real direct hit to your budget and, honestly, to your team's morale. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the real cost of all that chaos. Then, we'll get crystal clear on what a DAM solution really is. We'll dig into how it actually works, build a solid business case for it, give you a step-by-step implementation playbook, and finally, see how it all fits together. Let's get into it.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the high cost of chaos. And trust me, this goes way beyond just losing a few files. We're talking about some serious business risks here, the kind that really hit your bottom line.
The truth is, your company's digital universe is just exploding, right? You've got more images, more videos, more design files, more everything than ever before. But here's the catch. Without a real system to manage it all, every new thing you create just adds to the mess. It's compounding the chaos instead of actually creating value. And this isn't some hypothetical what-if scenario. Think about this for a second. You've got a product image out there live on maybe 30 different platforms, but the usage rights for that image expired 6 months ago. Now what? Without a central system, trying to hunt down and remove every single one of those is an absolute nightmare. That's not a content update, that's a full-blown compliance crisis just waiting to happen. Okay, so the problem is pretty clear, right? Now let's talk about the solution. And this is really important because we need to define what a digital asset management system really is. Because I'll tell you, right now, it is so much more than just another place to dump your files. So what are we talking about here? Well, at its heart, digital asset management is 2 things at once. It's a business process, and it's a technology. Think of it like this. It creates that single source of truth everyone is always looking for. It becomes the central nervous system for every valuable digital thing your company owns. And this is where we have to draw a really clear line in the sand. This is the difference between a real DAM and the cloud storage tools your team is probably using right now, like Dropbox or Google Drive. Look, those tools are great for basic file sharing, but a DAM is built to manage the entire life cycle of an asset. The search isn't just for a file name. It lets you search for what's inside the asset. The control is super granular, so you can stop people from using old or non-compliant content. And this is huge. It gives you analytics. You can actually see which of your assets are performing well and driving value. Okay, let's pop the hood and see how this thing actually works. To really get what makes a DAM so powerful, you have to understand 2 things: the asset lifecycle and the absolute magic of something called metadata. That's the engine. So every single asset that enters a DAM follows this predictable path. First, it gets uploaded to that central library. Then it's categorized with all this useful data that makes it super easy to find. It's stored securely, with permissions so only the right people can touch it. From there, your teams can find it in seconds, literally. And finally, the approved final version gets distributed out to all the channels where it needs to go. The whole point of this process? Max speed, minimum risk.
Now, this next part, this is the secret sauce. This is what makes the whole thing tick. A DAM is only as smart as the information you feed it. And that information has a name. It's called metadata. Metadata is what transforms a dumb file folder into a smart, searchable, content-finding machine.
So what is metadata? Well, it's just data about your data, and it usually comes in 3 main flavors. You've got structural metadata, which is the basic stuff: file type, when it was made, who made it. Then there's descriptive metadata. This is the good stuff. It tells you what the asset is actually about. Think keywords like beach or sunset. And modern DAMs even use AI to automatically tag images, which saves an insane amount of time. And finally, you have administrative metadata. This is your compliance shield. It tracks things like license expirations and usage rights. Super important.
Okay, so now we know what a DAM is and how it works, but the big question remains: why should your business actually invest in one? So in this next section, we're going to build that business case. We're going to translate all these cool features into what really matters: measurable ROI.
Right.
How does this impact the bottom line? That's the question every leader is going to ask. And they should, because this isn't about having a perfectly organized digital closet. This is about driving real business results. And you know what? The data on this is incredibly clear.
Let's start with productivity. We see that companies using a DAM get, on average, a 20% boost in their team's efficiency. And why is that? It's simple. All those hours your team used to waste hinting for files, they get converted directly into hours spent doing what they're actually paid to do: create value. And it gets better. When you look at workflow, the impact is even bigger, a nearly 50% increase in collaboration and efficiency. Just think about it. When marketing, sales, and even your outside partners are all pulling from the exact same single source of truth, content just flows. It gets from idea to market way, way faster. So where do all these savings and efficiencies actually come from? Well, it breaks down pretty simply. You stop paying to recreate assets you already have. You get back all that time people were losing just searching for stuff. You start getting way more mileage out of your content by reusing it. Maintaining brand consistency becomes almost effortless. And you avoid those terrifying fines for non-compliance. It's not just about what you gain. It's about eliminating the massive costs of doing nothing.
All right, let's say you're convinced. You're ready to make a move. So what's next? This section is your playbook. It's a practical, step-by-step guide to choosing and launching a DAM system the right way. A successful DAM rollout is not about just flipping a switch and hoping for the best. It's a phased approach. You have to start by assessing your real needs. Talk to the people who are actually going to use this thing every day. Then you choose a solution that's not just for today, but one that can grow with you. And this next part is critical. You start with a small pilot phase. Test it, find the kinks, and work them out. Then you provide training that's specific to what each person does. And finally, you set up rules for governance to keep the system clean and effective for the long haul. Now, during that selection process, you're going to hit a big fork in the road: cloud versus on-premise. And there's no single right answer. It really depends on what you need. If you need absolute maximum control and deep customization, then on-premise could be the way to go. But if you value easy access, lower upfront costs, and getting up and running quickly, then a cloud solution is almost always the more strategic choice for most companies today. And one of the biggest factors in that decision is time to value. Just look at the numbers. Cloud-based DAMs typically start delivering a positive return on investment in about 10 months. That's a lot faster than on-premise solutions. And the reason is simple. You don't need a huge internal IT project to get it deployed and keep it running. Okay, for our last section, let's pull back and look at the big picture. Because a DAM system doesn't live on an island. To really truly unlock its potential, you have to see how it plugs into your company's entire data ecosystem. This is where a DAM goes from being a great tool to being a core operational hub for your business. When you integrate it with a product information management system, a PIM, you're connecting your beautiful visuals directly to all your critical product data. What does that mean? It means the right image is always tied to the right product specs, the right price, the right description, and solutions like Comport's data pool are built to do exactly that, creating one single source of truth that gives you perfect consistency across every single place you sell. So let's end on this thought. Every single image, every video, every document your company creates, it's all part of your story. It's how you present yourself to the world. A DAM system is the strategic tool that makes sure you're telling that story consistently, efficiently, and powerfully. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Right now, how effectively are you telling your story?